everybody, and welcome back to the Hangout Spot where you already know it's Real Talk Sports Talk, live from my man cave. It's your boy Johnny, and let's talk boxing because I need to vent a little bit, and hopefully you'll listen to me. I've been stressed with boxing lately because the sport that I love is just severely tarnished right now. And it bugs me because I love boxing. I love everything about boxing. It's my passion. I've loved it since I was a kid. I love watching it. I love analyzing it. I love debating it. But right now, reality is I'm disappointed with it. And that's why I wanted to come out and vent, because there's a few things that have been bugging me. And I didn't write down any notes. I just want to speak right from the heart. The business of boxing, man, it's just seeped in, and it's ruining what could be a great sport. What could be the best sport? I firmly believe boxing is the best sport. Because the way I look at it, I don't even see it as a sport. You can't play boxing. You can play basketball, you can play football, you can play baseball. You can't play boxing. You got two fighters squaring off, no teammates to help, duking it out, matching wits, skills, heart, determination. When athletes say blood, sweat, and tears when they work hard, boxing lives it. It truly is blood, sweat, and tears. In training camp and during a fight. It's a beautiful thing. These guys go out there and risk their lives for our entertainment. But it's dying a slow death. I don't think it's dead by any means, but it's severely tarnished, and it bugs me. It really does. What happened? I mean, I know what happened. I've been thinking about it for a day or two. There's a bunch of things that I feel contributed to where it is today. But how can we make it better? I debate with a lot of guys in my boxing chat groups. And they'll tell me, boxing is dead. Boxing is done. Blah, blah, blah. And I disagree. I don't think it's done. I think it's alive. And I think it has the potential to be alive and well. But a lot of things have to change in order for it to get that way. Because it was about legacy back in the golden, era. Now it's all about the coin. It's all about money. It's business. And that's the frustrating part, because it could be as good today as it was in the 80s. Yeah, it can be. I believe so. People will argue with me. No way. Sugar Ray Leonard, Duran, Hearns, Hagler, all those guys fought in that era. We don't have fighters like that today. Yeah, because they're not fighting each other. How do you think those guys went from great fighters to legendary fighters? Because they fought each other. They were the best, and they were not afraid to put it all out in the line and challenge themselves. The mentality back then was, if you wanted to be the best, you have to beat the best. And those guys were the best, even if it meant going in there and losing fights. And in most cases, fighting them again, 2-3 times. That's how they became legendary fighters. It was about legacy. It wasn't about money as much back then as it is today. Think about it. Even the casual fan knows who Sugar Ray Leonard is. But why do you know him? You don't know him because of the amount of money he made. You know him based on how he fought and who he fought in some of the bigger fights in his career. Now it's almost like these guys want to be known as who's the richest fighter out there. Who wants to be the next Floyd Mayweather? That's what it's all about today. And it's sad because, again, if these guys fought each other, this era would be just as good as the golden era, because these guys out there right now are skillful. They're faster in some cases. They're stronger. And that's just in all sports today. I mean, the athlete today has evolved throughout the years. They're a lot more advanced than they were back in the 80s. But they don't fight each other. And in the process, the true boxing fans like me and some of you guys that are watching, we get robbed. We want to see the best fights. I mean, the thing that really got me going was this whole Shakur Stevenson retiring. This is a guy in the prime of his career, mid-20s, great fighter, great young fighter, has the potential to be one of the best fighters pound for pound for years to come. Skill-wise, offense, defense, there isn't really much this kid can't do. Now he wants to announce his retirement because he's frustrated with this weak boxing game, which is what he called it. Feels like he's being avoided, can't get a big fight. Part of that is true. I think a lot of guys are avoiding Shakur because of his skill set. A guy like that who will hit you and not get hit, he'll make you look bad. A lot of these guys don't want to look bad. God forbid. But a lot of that has to do with him as well. Supposedly there was an offer made by Devin Haney, to fight, 70-30 split. Devin Haney was a champion at the time. He turned it down. Do I think it was kind of a lowball offer? Yeah, I do. But at the end of the day, you got to look at the big picture. Why not take that fight, beat Haney, grab his straps, and then maybe in the rematch, if you decide to do that, you make 70-30. Or you make 70-30 against your next guy. A lot of these guys don't think about maybe taking a step backwards now to take 2 giant steps forward down the road. They want to make it all today. And a lot of these guys want to make all this money by not accomplishing anything in the ring. And I'm not saying Shakur hasn't accomplished anything. He's won a title or a couple of titles in a couple of different weight classes. He's a special fighter. He really is. So I'm not knocking him. But I'm saying, what you're making today can double and triple down the road if you do it the right way. You take these big fights. I don't know if he regrets it or not. But again, maybe he should have thought differently. Now nobody wants to fight him. He wants to fight Tank Davis. And accordingly to Calvin Ford, his interview, which again got me riled up. I mean, you're basically telling everybody that there's no way you're going to fight Shakur because of his style. Aren't you confident that your guy is the best guy at 135? Why would you not want him to challenge the other guy? Don't you want him to prove he's the best? Those are just comments that are made in interviews that it makes no sense to me. I mean, where's the fighter when he hears that? If I'm Tank Davis, I hear that. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm better than Shakur. I think I'm better. I think I'm just as skillful. I hit harder. Now I want to fight him to prove who's the best. But again, chirping. Nobody wants to fight anybody. They'll tell you behind the scenes in their interview they want to fight the best guys out there, but there's no hustle behind the muscle. There's no contracts being signed. They don't even get to the negotiation table. It's sad. It really is. But don't get it twisted. Shakur's not retiring. He's not that stupid. This kid is a special fighter. He's going to have a special career. This is all posturing. Maybe it gets the promoters to think a little bit differently, the networks. They up some money. Maybe somebody will step to the plate. That's what it's all about. Teofimo did the same thing last year. And look at him now. He's fighting 3 days before the Super Bowl against Jermaine Ortiz. That's all posturing. In fact, the word retirement shouldn't even exist in the world of boxing. It's the most bullshit word in this sport. I mean, think about it. How many fighters throughout the years, decades, retire, and come back? Some of them retire 3, 4, 5 times and come back. It shouldn't even exist in professional boxing. In fact, I think a true fighter will tell you that they're never retired until they're 6 feet under, till they're dead and buried. Because these guys, the way they're built, the way they're wired, that competitive drive is always going to be there. There's guys that are old, over the hill, that want to come back and fight because they miss the competition and they still feel like they can beat somebody in the ring. It's like a high for them, man. It's hard for them to walk away. Very few of them walk away early in their career when they still have something left in the gas tank. It's usually most of these guys walk away when they're way over the hill, where they should have retired a few years prior. But that's how they're built. And that's what makes these guys special. So when I say money and the business part is ruined boxing, I don't want you to get it twisted. I'm not opposed to these guys getting paid. They should get paid. Absolutely, they should get paid. Look at what they're doing for a living. They're risking their lives for our entertainment. So yes, get paid, get as much money as you want, but it shouldn't hinder you from trying to achieve greatness. Because when it's all said and done, if you want to be considered one of the best, you're not going to say you're one of the best because you made the most money. That title belongs to Floyd Mayweather. And trust me when I tell you, I'm not knocking Floyd. Floyd is one of the best to ever do it. I appreciate Floyd more now, years after his retirement, because of how special of a fighter he was. No one did it better when it came to the sweet science and defense and counterpunching. And don't get it twisted. His resume, he's got a great resume. Lots of world champions on his resume. Nobody ever beat him. And there are some people that will debate the timing of some of these opponents that he fought. There are some people that will say that a lot of his fights were calculated to benefit him. Maybe caught a fighter at the right time. I'm not going to debate that. I'll leave that for other people. I won't do that. But one thing that can be debated is his greatness. So what he's earned in his career, he earned that. This man is in his mid-40s, been retired for years, and he's still making tens of millions of dollars doing exhibition fights. And now all these older fighters want to do exhibition fights. Why? Look at how successful Floyd is doing it. So realistically, Floyd has always been a trendsetter. Changed the game of boxing when it became more financially driven. A lot of people blame him for where boxing is today, but I don't knock it. The amazing thing about Floyd, he was able to market himself as a pay-per-view star without having to knock people out. That's crazy. Because most people, they want to pay to see knockouts, like Tyson. You think Tyson made all that money back in the days, right? People paid for his pay-per-views, even though they were around long. They wanted to see him knock people's heads off. It was entertaining, even for the casual fans, right? Floyd did that. Again, precision, defense, counterpunching. If you are a fan of the sweet science, it was a beautiful thing to watch. So not only was he a great fighter, but he was an excellent businessman because he has made himself, he has marketed himself enough to make the most money out of any professional athlete. He's a billionaire. He's made over $1 billion in the sport of boxing. I believe he's the highest paid athlete in professional sports, and he's been retired for years. That's insane. But now everybody wants to be Floyd, and you can't be Floyd. There's only one Floyd Mayweather. And if you want to do it the right way. Work your way up the ranks. They all want it today. And if they don't get a 50-50 purse, or if they don't get a 60-40 in their favor, negotiations break down. One fighter moves in another direction, they move and the other fighter moves in another direction, and the fans lose out. We don't get the fight that we all want to see. In fact, now it's become, common nature for us to think about, hopefully we get that fight, because we may not even see it. That's why Errol Spence against Terence Crawford last year was such a big event, and people wanted to see that for years, and it finally happened. But again, it took years in the making because the promotion companies, 2 different banners. It's another thing. If you have this fighter that's up and coming that wants to fight for legacy, 18, 19 fights in, tells his promoter, I want to fight that guy. He's the best guy. I want to challenge myself. I want to be the best in this division. Promoter may tell him to stop in his tracks. Relax. You want to try to beat this guy? What if you don't beat him? The plan for us to make all this money is going to go down the tubes. Maybe you need to rethink that and just follow my lead. Because you know that guy, Floyd Mayweather? Yeah, that guy? If you ever want to be that guy, there's a blueprint that we got to follow. So just follow me. We'll get you 3 other fights before we get that one. There'll be more money in the making. Meanwhile, who knows if we ever see it? Again, it's the promoters who call the shots when it should be the fighters. The fighter wants a fight. Tell the promoter, I want that fight. They should be able to make it happen. The promoter should be working for the fighter, not the other way around, and that's how it is. Now it's the promoter and the networks that are working together. They're calling the shots. Boxing was seriously benefit by having a commissioner like every other sport. Baseball, football, basketball, MMA, they all have commissioners. We don't. People want to knock MMA. But realistically, they're as popular as they are because they put on great shows. Why? Because Dana White is going to pit the two best guys in that division, regardless of who they want to fight. It's not who they want to fight. It's who he says they're going to fight. And if this guy is a top contender, you're fighting this guy. And they're putting together cards every other week. Pay-per-view cards with great main events, great co-main events. Good cards. Again, don't knock them, but they have a commissioner there that's putting that together. Boxing doesn't have that. We have to rely on the promoters wanting to play ball with the networks and the other promoters. And most times they don't. They'll try to negotiate, it falls apart, there goes the fight. Just fight a guy within our promotional banner, and it's like a hamster wheel. Everybody's fighting the same guys. It's crazy. These guys don't want to work together because they're greedy. One wants more than the other. Nobody wants to give. It's tough. It's corporate America for you. And you can't, God forbid, you rely on the sanctioning bodies to put fights together that should be made. Rankings, I don't even know why they exist anymore. How many times do we have a number one contender who gets passed over, and then you got the guy that's sitting 4th or 5th ranked? He jumps over because supposedly he's the bigger name that they can market and make more money with. He jumps over that number one contender, and he gets that title fight over the guy who should be mandatory. That is bullshit. But that's what boxing has become. You can't rely on the sanctioning bodies anymore. I mean, prime example, look at Keith Thurman coming out of retirement. He hasn't fought in 2 years. They just announced he's fighting Tim Tszyu for the 154-pound title. What has he done in 2 years to deserve that? He probably skipped over, well, he's definitely skipped over multiple people in the pecking order that are ahead of him. Why? Because he's a name. This guy hasn't fought in 2 years. Last time he fought Mario Barrios. Now you sit out for 2 years and you get a title fight? It's crazy. This is happening all the time. Nobody cares about belts anymore. Why? Because there are a million of them. It used to be a prize. It was sacred, an achievement to get a championship belt. There were only 3 in each division. Now there's 4 major belts, but then there are about 89 other ones. In fact, they're making up belts for fighters. I'm not BSing. There's belts that I've never even heard of. So, kudos to the guys today that still want to fight for Undisputed in the 4-belt era. The Terrence Crawfords, the Devin Haney's, the Canelos. There aren't many guys out there now. In fact, they barely, they'll get a strap because they want a big fight. But other than that, Undisputed, they don't care about that. They just want to make, the most money and fight the biggest names, regardless if there's a title or not. So kudos to those guys who still have that old school mentality. And they even say, from a business perspective, fighters have said it's not even profitable to go undisputed because then you got to pay 4 different sanctioning fees. So they want to make money too. It's all about money, man. That's what's ruining this sport, this beautiful sport. And it just stresses me out because this sport should be the best one. There's nothing like a Saturday night pay-per-view main event. It's buzzing. It's great on TV. It's even greater in person. I've been there. It's just insane. But it's just few and far between. So again, it doesn't make any sense. These fighters need to look in the mirror and figure out what's more important. Making the money today or trying to secure their legacy, which will make them more money in the long run. Look at what Floyd did. Look at Oscar De La Hoya. People can say what they want about Oscar, but Oscar was the ultimate cash cow, making as much money as he is today with his promotional company, Golden Boy. But when he fought, Oscar fought the best. He wasn't afraid to challenge himself in different weight classes. That can't be denied. These guys need to think about that. If they want to be mentioned in the same category as some of these great fighters, they got to do things differently now, especially now that they're young. Shakur should be fighting Tank Davis. Devin Haney should be fighting Tank Davis or Shakur. Teofimo should be fighting Devin Haney. This is the way it's supposed to be working right now. Even Canelo, who I love, the biggest cash cow in boxing, still is the biggest money draw. Never felt like he's ever ducked anybody in his career. His resume cannot be matched. I'm not saying anything bad about it, but right now, people want him to fight David Benavidez, and I don't know what the hell's going on there. Looks like he's trying to avoid him. And that should be for all the marbles at 168, two Mexicans. A young lion against a legend. Great, that's what we want to see. Instead, he wants to fight the other Charlo brother. And then a smaller guy in Terrence Crawford. I think that's going to be a good fight, though. Terrence Crawford moving up in 2 weight classes, trying to challenge himself. If the rumors are true, that'll be in September. That'll be a good one. I can't wait to preview that one. But either way, fight the best guy in your division. You got the titles. I don't know, but I don't knock him. I mean, he's earned the right to be able to move in whatever direction he wants to move. He's a guy that's not afraid to challenge himself. That's why it's weird that this Benavidez thing hasn't happened, but I've digressed. Anyway, boxing. Listen, like I said, I just, I want to appreciate you listening. I just felt like I needed to get some stuff off my chest. Nothing pre-rehearsed, all came from the heart. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I mean, this is obviously a topic that's, a lot of people want to chime in on and comment. YouTube boxing heads, man. Let me know how you feel. Let me know your thoughts. Am I right on? Do you feel differently? Do you agree with some of the things I said? Love to hear everybody's thoughts in the comment section. And as always, if you're new to watching my videos, please subscribe. This is how we do it up here in 2024, man. Come back, hang out with your boy. Lots of cool stuff in 2024, so make sure you're along for the ride. But as always, this is your boy, Johnny, signing out from the Hangout Spot, and I'll talk to all my people soon.